How is it going, my fellow Batman fans? Hopefully Batman fans, if not at least people who are interested in this film. Here is my non-spoiler review of the new Batman film, The Batman, directed by Matt Reeves, featuring Robert Pattinson as the Bat himself. I'll keep the spoilers to a minimum. I may say a few very vague things, but that's about it. Let's get into it. Right off the bat, I'd like to applaud the narration in this film. It's handled well and Batman spits a few bars. And while I'm on the topic, I will mention that Pattinson does indeed do a good Bat voice. But yeah, this film's opening monologue gave me an eargasm. Not to spoil much, but there's a bit where he says something along the lines of, "Fear is a tool," and he goes on talking about how his presence makes people scared of the shadows, as the bad guys never know which shadow around them he could pop out of. It was great. I also really liked this Batman suit. When I first saw the trailer, I didn't really like the lack of chin strap or chin covering, but it really grew on me, and I don't even notice it anymore. It just feels right now. Also, the detachable knife bat symbol was beautiful to see. Next, I'd like to mention that this film did not feel like a superhero movie. For example, the Nolan trilogy, whilst being amazing, felt like superhero movies, which is fine and it makes sense. But The Batman doesn't feel like another superhero movie. It feels like a detective movie with an extra serving of action. If he wasn't in a superhero suit, you wouldn't think this was a superhero movie. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I think the Riddler is such a great first villain, because it's a villain who forces the writer to write a Batman who is the world's greatest detective, not just a Batman who can beat your ass. He's a great villain to keep Batman grounded a bit, as that was Reeves' goal going into this movie. I also loved how unnerving and uncomfortable the Riddler can make you feel. There was a scene where Batman's talking to the Riddler, and the Riddler literally starts singing some fucking opera song or some shit as Batman is interrogating him. Batman is trying to kind of rip him apart verbally and make him feel like he's lost in some shit. It's pretty crazy, and it's really good though. Just his expressions, his mannerisms, the way he talks, the way he does everything just makes me feel like this is a real creepy dude, and it was just great. I don't know how to explain it. I also really liked the Riddler's look. I watched the movie with John's dad. John's one of my friends, and he said he didn't like the mask. But the way I see it, as this movie is quite grounded, as I was mentioning, as realistic as a Batman movie could get, the Riddler is not gonna have Gucci suits and shit in his budget, nor did he want to reveal his face until you know he got arrested. So of course he's gonna have some type of mask on. And nobody wants to see this Riddler fit again. And whoever the fuck is comparing this Riddler to Joker, what? Like, I get he is kind of goofy, but with that logic, any villain who dares smile or is a little weird is just the Joker, I guess. And why would Reeves have written the Riddler to be just like the Joker when he confirmed originally the Joker was another character with a somewhat biggish role in the story, at least having a few scenes? He wouldn't write two of the same character, I hope. But yeah, I do like how this overall kind of normal dude at the end of the day, he doesn't have anything extra, he's just literally a normal guy, shook up the entire city of Gotham. I also love how he talks like a streamer. There's a scene where he's like on the dark web talking to people on his thingamajig on the dark web while they're conspiring a plan. And he's like, "Thanks for 500 followers," which people make fun of as if it's not a lot, which normally I'd be like, yeah, that's not that much. But on the dark web, 500 people to follow your batshit crazy plan, you get it, batshit, that wasn't a pun by the way, to fuck up Gotham and actually like do criminal activities, 500 would be a lot. I'm just gonna say that right now. Also, I will mention his riddle, his actual riddle was dope as fuck, and seeing it unfold was really cool. I also love the fact that they included a slight, smallest mistake, because I've always thought while seeing all these crazy riddles and shit, and you see them in real life too, there can be mistakes which can fuck up the entire not riddle, I meant to say it was a riddle, but it had like a different alphabet, like a code, and you just find out which letters match the code and shit. So that's what I meant. But yeah, he screwed up a little bit, but they still found out. It was cool. But back to the talk about realism, as that's one of my favorite aspects of this iteration of Batman. For example, in the fights and throughout the movie when dealing with the riddle, Batman isn't perfect. I didn't see any scene feeling like, oh, it's Batman, he'll find a way out of this, oh ho ho. There's literally a scene where he's fighting just a bunch of thugs, normal ass people that are thugs, and still takes a good amount of hits. Even though he's winning, it's not flawless, and it feels like I'm watching a realistic take on this guy, who has more abilities than the average man, but at the end of the day is still fighting against 10 or so other dudes at once, and is not fighting to kill. It makes sense he wouldn't go without getting knocked out at least once or something. Like at the end of the movie, what almost takes him out isn't the main villain, it's a civilian. So that's what I mean. It's kind of cool to be on the edge of my seat for once during a Batman movie, wondering, will Batman make it out fine or not? Not just being like, okay, Batman's gonna save the day. We know what's gonna happen, woo. I would even go as far to kind of go on this stretch. I know this is kind of a stretch, but I would say I could see this Batman almost taking the Ultimate Spider-Man route. And I'm not saying he will, die. I'm just saying I could see this version of Batman dying because he got in way over his head. Just as in Ultimate Spider-Man, spoilers, this kid, and it's a way more realistic take, I think, of Spider-Man than Spider-Man actually surviving into his like late 30s and shit doing this, but he only survived as Spider-Man for 2 years before facing a villain he couldn't beat. And I could see this Batman doing something similar, if not the same thing. I don't know, that last bit was just me thinking out loud a bit, but I still like the realism. And a bit back to the fights conversation, the fight scenes in this movie were amazing. There were barely any cuts in a lot of them, and we really got to see the motions, the choreography, and the sound production made it feel like I was getting hit. Goddamn. I also mentioned that the music in this movie was great. I love the Batman theme, and the music really served as a tool to enhance a lot of the scenes, just really elevating the weight of them, and really just fitting the atmosphere and getting you immersed in the vibe of each scene. I also like the Batmobile. Not too flashy compared to other Batmobiles we've seen in live action, but it sounds amazing. And the scene with the Batmobile is one of my favorite Batmobile scenes in history. That shit was amazing, especially that upside down shot, which I don't know if I've mentioned the cinematography yet, but I will go with that because we were just talking about the fight choreography, which is still under the cinematography and the way it was shot. The cinematography in this movie was amazing. It was really good. Like, goddamn. A lot of the shots, even the colors of the shots, it was great. I can't say much more than that. I saw a lot of complaints about this Bruce Wayne in that he's not really Bruce Wayne. He's just Batman, but without the mask. But it's so perfect for such an early Batman. The movie makes it obvious that he does not care about the Bruce Wayne persona and all he is Batman. I think in the next movie, you'll see that he's learned to keep the mask of Bruce Wayne on at times, as Bruce Wayne is the mask, but Batman's really him. I also like that at the beginning of the movie, he's a symbol of fear, but by the end of the movie, he's a symbol of fear for the bad guys and a symbol of hope for the good guys, not just being a symbol of fear to both. Because at the start of the movie, there is a civilian that's still scared as fuck of him. So just the growth of Batman throughout this movie is good. The movie has woke moments, like a couple of lines, but it didn't feel forced at all. Felt like things people would actually say in real life. And unless anything is super forced, I don't see why you would bitch about political things in a movie. And by political things, I just mean like a line by a couple people talking about white privilege, or a couple scenes where they allude to white man bad or whatever. But I didn't see it as a big deal in this movie. It didn't feel like they were selling me a political pitch. And at the end of the day, I don't really care. Politics, at least subtly, is that how you say it? Subtly is in movies anyways. But I didn't see it as like, oh, Black Commissioner Gordon, not my Gordon. In fact, I was gonna save this for later, but this is my favorite Commissioner Gordon so far. I said it has woke moments, but it really doesn't. But I can see how people would interpret it as woke moments. The film also has great comedy by accident. There's a few moments where it's unintentionally funny, and that's why the few moments are so great, and hit harder than the 70th Marvel joke that I feel like I've heard in the other 30 MCU movies. Not to say Marvel's comedy is bad, just saying I like the random funny moments in this movie. Moving on. The casting in this movie went kind of brazy. Pattinson did amazing, obviously. The Riddler was great, I already talked about him. Like I was saying, Commissioner Gordon in this film is probably the best live-action Commissioner Gordon we've gotten. He and the Batman's exchanges and back and forths were goated. There's one scene where, kind of spoilers, but he gets in the face of Batman to try and make it look like he's tough talking him, and then he asks him to punch him to like create a diversion almost and make it look like they're fighting. And later on he's like, you could have held back on that punch, and Batman's like, I did. It was so funny. Penguin's casting, makeup, and role in this movie were absolutely incredible. Selina/Catwoman was nice. Falcone was good. And yeah, everyone did well. Also, the city of Gotham as a character was dope. And I know you guys are saying, what? The city of Gotham is a character? But it is. If you can't capture Gotham correctly, it's not the same. The Dark Knight trilogy was amazing, but come on, man, that was not Gotham. That was Chicago. I can't think of another live-action Gotham that was this good besides the actual Gotham series. Well, Tim Burton's was pretty good too, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, that's really all I got for this review. Nothing but good things to say, and I just really can't wait for the next one. If I had to rate it, I'd say this was the most perfect Batman movie so far in terms of capturing the character and everything I love about Batman, to be honest. My favorite part of Batman has never been, oh, with enough prep time, he can fucking beat Superman and find a way to debate Darkseid. I do like him being big brain, but sometimes I feel like it's so ridiculous in the comics, which a lot of people like and I like sometimes, but at the same time, I really love this grounded take. But yeah, that's all I got. Did you love the movie? Did you hate the movie? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe and shit for more, and yeah, just keep on vibing.